coming straight out of Canton, 24/7, 365. From the Hall of Fame city, this is Uncensored Football.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Uncensored Football. Myself, Brad Russell, and of course, Zack Xander, hanging out with you, doing what we do, talking a little football. Again, not a ton of live sports going on, so we're having a good time talking football. We're going to do some projections. We're going to look way too far in the future and kind of plot out division by division who we think is going to come up roses and who's going to end up falling on their face. We'll plot it all out. We'll talk about wild cards. We'll make our picks all the way to a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl champion. Yeah, I know it's June, but hey, there's no live sports, so we're talking football. Zach, glad to hop on with you as always. You ready to get this thing rolling?
Absolutely. It's never too early to make a wrong pick to who the Super Bowl champion is going to be. It's never too early. Come on, it's June, the middle of June. We don't have baseball. College football is a mess right now with COVID, quarantine, everything. I'm just crossing my fingers we get college football and NFL because that is what we do here. And I can't wait to get this, going because this is exciting stuff because, it's not that far away. Hall of Fame week is like 6 weeks away from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really starting to get that buzz as I've been working on my rankings for fantasy football. It's that time of the year. The books are starting to come out, the publications, the articles. It's really starting to ramp up. You start talking about rankings and plotting your draft and when you're going to have people over for your live drafts, when you're going to have your online drafts, all that kind of stuff going on. It's homework season, as I like to call it.
Wait, Brad, you mean tell your wife when the boys are coming over? You have to get that stuff like 6 weeks ahead. Like somebody's coming over, we're getting drunk and we're drafting, and it's happening in 6 weeks. So just be prepared.
Yeah, my wife is so ingrained with it now. She knows the entire month of August is booked. We ain't doing anything but either going to a draft or hosting a draft here at the Russell household, and we wouldn't have it any other way. So can't wait for August to roll around football. And I know you mentioned college. I don't even want to get into college too much because I know you're teetering on sanity right now. If we don't have college football, I know, Zach, you're going to be in a world hurt.
I'm going to put on my riot gear. It's going to be sad. I might I'll cry. I'll be depressed. I won't know what to do to not be able to watch college football. Ohio State, Miami, we got all these other teams coming up. It's sad to even think it's a possibility they won't be playing college football in September on Saturdays, but it looks like NFL, they're going – I think they're going to play no matter what. They've just took this all in stride, and they haven't stopped anything. So I think the NFL is going at it. And it's weird right now.
Yeah, I think the NFL is going to say, COVID be damned. We're having football games. It'll just be whether they have fans in the stands or not. And I hope we get to some kind of normalcy with that sooner rather than later. So let's jump into it. Actually, before we start, I do want to thank everybody that's been following along on Facebook, commenting, getting in there, sending us questions, not only on Facebook, but on Instagram. Got the YouTube channel rocking right now. Of course, Twitter, all those things are rocking on Uncensored Football. Shout out to EJ for you, Zach, as well, putting in a lot of hard work. So let's keep the grind going as we start to look at some of these projections here. And we're going to start right here in our honey hole, and that's the AFC North. Some teams that we really follow, enjoy, and like watching. We're going to get right into it. You want to work top down or bottom up? Because I think we can all agree the bottom is the Bengals.
Absolutely. And, okay, Cleveland's going 16-0, right? Come on.
Totally. Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, they're going 16-0. No, this is exactly like you said. This is where we live and breathe football in Canton, Ohio, and it starts with the AFC North, one of the toughest divisions this year. And going forward, I think all four of these teams have a rock-solid foundation going forward. Cincinnati, I think, they're a year away from really contending. I think they can be kind of fun. Joe Burrow's coming into the fold. Joe Mixon, they drafted T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. A.J. Green's actually healthy. It could be a really fun offense. I don't see the talent on the defensive side, so they're going to be last place in the division. Then it's up to Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore. Baltimore is going to be the runaway favorite, and I believe it's I have them winning the division. But I don't have them winning 14 games. I see them losing a few more. Lamar's going to have to do a little bit more actually playing quarterback in the third and fourth quarter. and it's going to be a little tougher. You see, it's not going to be that easy. They're not going 14-2, but I say probably 12-4. That's pretty damn good.
Mhm.
And then it's Pittsburgh and Cleveland. I have Pittsburgh narrowly edging Cleveland for second place, and I have Cleveland as my third place team. But the top of that division, they're going to be fighting for playoff spots. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's really an exciting division. I've got the Ravens coming in at number 1 again this year. I know we agree on that. Will Lamar have to do more? I kind of got soured on Lamar heading into last season. Totally wrong, obviously. But you know how he looked in that Chargers game? They ran all those DBs out there. I thought maybe they had cracked the code or at least put a blueprint out there for other defensive coordinators in the league to slow down Lamar Jackson. Obviously, in 2019, I was way off. And he was able to go out there. He looked better in the passing game. The run game was dominant. And then they solidified that run game by bringing in another young, fresh set of legs with J.K. Dobbins. They're still going to have Ingram in the backfield. They still got the Gus Bus there. So they got plenty of good legs to rotate. And I think that they're going to use a solid rotation. 3 guys I think are going to – and they still got Justice Hill. I don't know where or how he's going to fit into that backfield with those 3 guys, but they're going to have legs to burn. And I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to run and churn the ball out. I don't know if they're going to win 14. I'm kind of with you there, Zach. I think just the law of averages starts catching up with you at some point, but I think they're going to be a force to reckon with. I think they win the division. I've got the Browns coming in second. Something's got to change. That's literally all I'm going on. No, I think something that changed is Freddie Kitchens is out, and he was a hot pile of stinky dog shit. Dude was trash. He was horrible. Could not lead the team. Didn't know how to get guys. Didn't have that veteran leadership in there either. I think Stefanski has come in and hopefully change that around. And again, we have to wait till we see it on the field. But I think with that many playmakers, and I think a new chip on Baker's shoulder, and I'm hoping like all the work that I've been seeing him put in, not only in the mental aspect, but actually the physical aspect, because I think we can all agree he looked a little hefty last year, looked a little slower. I think he's got some things to prove again, and he's going to go out there and have a good season because, I mean, my God, I mean, how many more playmakers do you need around you? I don't think we need to go through the names, but I'll do it just for name's sake. When you got Chubb, Hunt, Odell, Jarvis, I mean, there is just a ton of talent. Oh, yeah, Austin Hooper added to the mix as well. I mean, come on, man.
I like Harrison Bryant, who they brought in. So Baker Mayfield is going to have all the weapons in the world. It is 1,000% on that man's shoulders.
Mm-hmm. And I think he can do it. I think we see a little bit more of what we saw his rookie year than what we saw in his sophomore year. And I think that along with Kevin Stefanski and his ability to use those tight ends and a run game with those 2 big backs, because you don't even think about how big Kareem Hunt is. He's actually a little bigger than Chubb, and he's faster. We know he can catch the ball in the backfield. There's a ton of weapons there. So I have the Browns actually edging the Steelers and getting in that second place spot. I don't know how much we want to debate that. I just don't know what Big Ben's going to be at 38 years old. I don't know if he's going to have that cannon. I don't know if he's going to be able to stand in that pocket and take hits like he was when he was a young Big Ben. Who knows? The guy looks like Sasquatch, but he can still go out there and play.
I mean, your worries are just that there's no doubt about that. I'm banking on that defense. I love TJ Watt. I love Devin Bush, Minkah Fitzpatrick. They still have Tuitt, Cameron Hayward. The defensive line and front 7 is solid as any team in the league. And then Minkah Fitzpatrick, he came on the scene last year and just showed what a playmaker he was coming out of Alabama. And I mean, those are 3 guys. You talk about each level of the defense. J.J. Watt rushing the passer, Devin Bush manning linebacker, and you have Minkah Fitzpatrick playing center field. That is a rock-solid foundation. And, I mean, that's a top 5 defense. They're going to win a lot of games just because of their defense. If Big Ben can be decent, they're going to be a playoff team.
It should be interesting to watch. Send all your Browns and Steelers hate our way on the Uncensored Football pages. So Ravens in the division, and we're kind of a toss-up between Browns and Steelers and Bengals at the bottom. Let's move on. Let's jump to the AFC West. I think it'll be a really interesting – I'm probably going to say that about all the divisions because there are so many different things to watch this year.
Just give us football. Just give us football,
please,
man. Please.
God, live sports. I'm so deprived for them, and football would just totally cure that, and I know we're months away. But nevertheless, Kansas City in the West – I don't see him getting stopped by anybody right now. And there's some interesting teams there. We're going to get to them through this preview. But Kansas City, I mean, they go to the Super Bowl, you win it. Patrick Mahomes looked better in the second half of the year. He said mentally he was just starting to catch on how to read defenses. My God, he's got all the physical. If he brings that mental capacity to the game, he can take it to another level, and that would be just downright ridiculously scary. The kid's a monster. They brought almost everybody back, and they brought in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's going to be the handpicked running back for Patrick Mahomes. I love everything they got going on in KC. I mean, you're not going anywhere but KC in the number one spot in the West, right?
Absolutely not. They're going to be the number one seed in the AFC, I believe. Baltimore has a little tougher road to get there, and I think Kansas City, Mahomes, Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, they did not lose anybody. They bring in Edwards-Helaire. I like the linebacker they brought in, Willie Gay from Mississippi State. This team, I mean, they're there. I mean, if Mahomes is healthy, who's going to beat them? Who's going to beat them week to week? It's just not going to happen. They're going to win 12, 13 games pretty easily and be the number one seed in the AFC.
Right. And if they want to turn it into a track meet, which is what they're going to intend to do in each and every game, there's nobody that can keep up with their speed with Reek and Hardman and some of the other guys. And again, adding Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's going to be one hell of an offense to watch. And again, I'm trying to buy stock in all the other guys in fantasy, obviously. We didn't talk about these pre-recording, but I got Broncos 2, Raiders 3, Chargers 4 in that division in the AFC West. Are we kind of in agreement on that?
That's exactly how I have them. So the AFC, I think it's a little cut and dry right now from afar in June. Denver, what they did with Jerry Jeudy, Melvin Gordon, that's a team they're surrounding lock with playmaker after playmaker, and it's exciting. Aaron Rodgers has to be like over in Green Bay crying because he doesn't have anywhere near that type of weaponry, and they're just shoving it down Drew. I mean, talk about someone that's going to have a little bit of pressure on him is Drew Lock, but I think they're going to put him in the right position. The defense, I mean, it might be up in the air a little bit. I like their defensive backfield. Chubb is coming back off injury. Von Miller. I think this is a team that can contend for a wild card because I see Oakland and LA Chargers as more of a, I don't know, some of the bottom feeders. I think Denver's well more off talented wise, and I think they're going to end up with a lot better record. I don't see Oakland and the Chargers doing a lot, and that's why I like Denver to contend for that wild card.
I seen a projection today too that kind of blew my mind. I wanted to give credit to who it was from. It was on actionnetwork.com where I don't think it was their numbers that they computed. I think it was something they grabbed from Vegas where it had it made me scratch my head. It said the Los Angeles Chargers had a 45.1% chance of making the playoffs. I got them dead last in that division. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, if he's your starter, they're definitely not winning that division unless, Herbert's the second coming of football Jesus out there. I mean, I don't really see it. I don't see that.
I was actually debating someone today about Justin Herbert compared to some of the other guys, the second-year quarterbacks, Drew Luck, Daniel Jones, and I really like Herbert, but he is a rookie, and this is a team. Phillip Rivers is gone. The offensive line is in shambles. Boza, can he stay healthy? Can Derwin James stay healthy? This was a team a couple of years ago. I thought that was stacked. That went 12-4, almost got the bye, but they ended up not getting it. They had to play New England, got crushed in the playoffs, and then last season they just never showed up. Can they stay healthy? I'm not so sure. I think I think they had a little window the last 2 years with Rivers, and they dicked it off. And I think it's a rebuilding team. I think they're going to probably be looking for a new coach next season.
Now, before we wrap up the AFC West, I think we got to talk about the Raiders because the Raiders and the Broncos last year, they both finished 7-9. You were just talking about Drew Lock, and I feel the same way. The guy's got a ton of talent around him. He's kind of almost in that same kind of a spot as Baker. You got all these guys around you. You got to go out there and make it happen. I know he's only going to be a second-year guy and only got a few starts there at the end of his rookie season, but a ton of talent around him. But can the Raiders make some noise? I still have them third just because I love what the Broncos were able to do as far as bringing in talent, but I got to kind of remind myself that those guys are still going to be rookies. Is Jerry Jeudy going to go out there and look like, Marvin Harrison day one? Probably not. But he will play a factor, but maybe later on. I like the Raiders. I like Josh Jacobs. I like what they bring to the table. They got a new home. I'm sure the NFL would like them to have a little bit better record. Not saying the NFL does anything to make things like that happen.
Oh, but, not in Vegas. Not in Vegas.
Right. But I don't know. I think they're kind of interesting. It's going to be another fun division to watch. But
that's one we have to get used to, the Las Vegas Raiders.
I think it'll be easier.
They should just named them the Sin City Raiders. Wouldn't that be so much better?
Yeah, no, actually that's some dope branding. I like that. I will say when it comes to the Raiders, I mean, John Gruden, what he brings to the table is good. The Broncos, we'll just wrap up the West here. We're in agreement. KC 1, Broncos 2, Raiders 3, Chargers 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a cut and dry division, pretty easy.
Okay, let's move on to the AFC West. Now, for the first time in a long time, I've got somebody other than the New England Patriots winning that division. I'm going with the Bills. The Bills last year, they were able to rack up 10 wins, I think, minus Tom Brady. I still think Bill Belichick. I got them coming in second. I got New England coming in second. I got Miami third, and the Jets are dead last because they're trash.
Yeah, the Jets they're fighting for the number 1 overall pick in the draft, so that's the only thing they have to worry about. Jamal Adams, once out of town, he's the best player they have on the team. This is a team that drafted Leonard Williams and traded him. Quinnen Williams last year, he had a rest issue too. This team, wow, you think about a team trying to make a name as the net what the Browns did 5 years ago. This team is in shambles. I like Darnold, but I don't think he can work with this. I mean, it's trash. I mean, he might be putting up some decent fantasy numbers if you want to get into it like that. This team isn't winning many games, so they're easily the worst team in that division. The Dolphins, where are they at? Fitzpatrick's starting the season. You know, fans are going to be clamoring. The media is going to be clamoring. People want to see Tua. It's all about Tua. He's the number 1 selling jersey right now. Everybody wants to see Tua, but I don't think we're going to see him in September. I doubt you see him in October.
You want to put a week on it? Put a week on when you think you see him.
I think it's in I think it's mid-November, so put a week on that. Week 10, week 11. If they're not in the playoff race, then you'll see Tua at the end of the season. But why risk it? This guy, I love his talent, but it's obvious he gets hurt too much. He's too fragile. They need to keep this man going. And with that hip injury, we all know the story with Bo Jackson and hips and everything. It don't go well in the NFL. So that breaks it down to New England and Buffalo. And I love Josh Allen in fantasy. Like, this guy's running over people. He gets a bunch of rush yards. He can do a lot of things. But in real life, he's got some stuff to work on. New England, Jarrett Stidham, are they rolling him out, or is it your boy Brian Hoyer from Cleveland?
Ain't my boy. No, he's my boy. He's good. No. He was good.
Yeah, and born and raised Northeast Ohio. So I think it's going to be Stidham, and I think it's going to be it's going to be a learning curve. I see them being kind of around 8-8, and Buffalo maybe a 9-7, 10-6. So I have Buffalo barely squeezing it out, but not very impressively.
I like the
defense. I like the defense in Buffalo. They don't have too many big names, but they really get it done.
Yeah, I like what they do there, and I think the Bills are going to win it. I was right there with you, too. I thought maybe Miami could be even a team that could push for that last wild card spot, because I love what Brian Flores was able to do in his first year down there with a team that, let's be honest, didn't have the studs, didn't have the horses to get out there and run, and he still was able to put together a decent one. They won 5 games last year. I've seen plenty of Brown seasons where they didn't have the horses and they win 1 or 2.
0.
Or 0. Yeah, I wasn't going to say it, but go ahead. Let's go. Miami. I
mean, Miami.
I think week 5. I think we see. I got week 2.
Miami is for the future, man. 21. They're going to contend for that division, because that division is up in the air. It really is right now. It's got to be a Buffalo New England race, and it's like I said, whoever wins that division, I don't see them doing very much in the playoffs by any means.
Yeah, I got the Bills in there, but I think we see 2 a week 5. That's what I'm going with. I think what will happen is I think Fitzpatrick will go out there and let's say after the first 4 games, they're like 3-1, and then he puts 2 bad performances together, and we see Tua.
Well, real quick, they start out at New England. They play Buffalo at home, at Jacksonville. You're going to find out what they are in the division really quick. At Jacksonville's not scaring anybody. Then they have Seattle, at San Francisco, at Denver. So that's 6 weeks. If say they're 2-4, they get the Chargers at home. I think that's the earliest you'll see them is after the road trip at San Francisco, at Denver. If they come out of
a tough ass schedule. That's tough.
It is, and it really is. And you're going to find out week 1 at New England what it's going to look like without Tom Brady, and Miami coming up there, and it's going to be so weird not to see Tom Brady playing for New England, and they're running out some second-year player out of Auburn.
It'll get really weird when we get to our NFC South preview and we're talking about Tom Brady and the Bucks. Let's wrap up the AFC here. Let's go to the South. And what I think was probably out of the AFC divisions, the toughest one for me. I got the Colts winning it all in that division. I think Phillip Rivers comes in, has one really good ride. I don't know if it'll go 2 years, but I think with the Colts, their defense, they got a really good line. They go and get Jonathan Taylor. I think they're going to try to just solidify a solid ground game between him and Marlon Mack. I think you're looking at a complete timeshare here, but they're just going to run the ball, and let Phillip Rivers pick his spots, a little dink and dunk stuff. But they're going to do enough to win that division. I got the Titans coming in second because of a late season push. We get late season Derrick Henry as we do each and every year, and I think he'll help drag them to the number 2 spot. I got the Texans, who actually won that division last year, coming in third and missing the playoffs this year. I just think it is a mess down there. You trade Nuke. I know you brought in some people like Brandon Cooks, and you tried to fill that spot. But I just think that there is going to be some problems in Houston this year, and this will be the last we see of the old butt chin down there. And then I got the Jags coming in dead last. Gardner Minshew and his cutoff jeans, shorts, out there traveling the country this year with his mustache and all that goofy shit he's doing, stretching naked and whatnot. I don't see it. I don't see it. Like the guy. He's a fun story to watch. But
he's the Jaguar king, man.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Jacksonville's going to be one of those teams that's probably fighting for a top 5 pick, possibly in the Trevor race. They get Trevor Lawrence or possibly even Justin Fields, who I think has a big NFL career also ahead of him. So I think they're easily going to be the last place team in that division. They're trading everybody away. They traded Calais Campbell away for a 5th. Traded the cornerback away for a 4th. They're getting rid of all their players. They got rid of Ramsey. This team looks nothing like it did 3 years ago when it was in the AFC title game. It just really doesn't. It's a complete rebuild. Leonard Fournette's probably going to be on his way out, and they're going to finish last. So just get used to seeing Jacksonville last place team. I'm sorry, Gardner. He has a nice story. He might put up some sneaky fantasy points because he's running around doing a bunch of crazy stuff. I like Chenault. I like Chark. But the defense is brand new. Josh Allen's a future superstar. And they drafted 2 players I really like, but they're too young. They really ruined it, and, they're a complete rebuild. So going on after that, you bring up the Texans, and the Texans, they remind me a little bit of the Chargers. I think they had a little window, and they fucked it up. They really did. Bill O'Brien completely fucked it up. He got his ego in front of wins and losses. This guy shouldn't be a head coach, let alone a GM. Supposedly him and Hopkins fought every day about his contract issue. Why would you not just pay this man, pay Deshaun Watson, and go on about your business, because they're superstars, but they just didn't seem to get that done, and they traded him away for scraps. That was my big problem with it. Trade DeAndre Hopkins if you can't pay him, if he's not happy. Get a first-round pick. Stephon Diggs got a first-round pick for him. Amari Cooper,
right.
Hopkins is a much better player. Texans, their stock is going down. Even though I love Deshaun Watson, he's going to run around and do a lot of things. I think the team can be around 500. I don't see them in the playoffs. Then I'm going to switch it around. I have Indy second, and I think Tennessee wins it kind of easy because they're not going to wait till December to run Derrick Henry. They're going to push this man on his franchise tag. And this team started to gel. They brought everybody back from it. Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown going into his 2nd season.
I do like A.J.
This guy on Instagram is running routes. He looks shredded. He's even in better shape. This guy's going to improve on his rookie season, which was amazing. He's going to be a bona fide wide receiver 1. And the offensive line, they replaced Conklin with a rookie, hopefully that can jump in day 1, start at right tackle. And I think that's the team to beat. I love Vrabel. I'm going on Vrabel right now. And I think Indianapolis is going to go around 9-7. I don't know if it's going to get them in the playoffs or not. You have a lot more faith in Phillip Rivers than I do. I think he had a ton of opportunities last year to win some games for the Chargers, and he just didn't make it happen. I don't think he's got it anymore. And I'm not saying –
I want to see what he can do behind a good line and a really good – I'm not trying to take anything away from, Austin Eckler and then Melvin Gordon in the second half of the season. But I think between Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack, they establish a good ground game, so they have to respect the play-action pass, which is where Phillip makes his money. And if you got a line that can keep him upright, he can still deliver. You're not going to see the Phillip Rivers that was just lacing bombs down the sideline, but I think he's going to be able to do enough in that offense. And I think
I don't think he does. I think
that's cool. I can't wait to see it.
Definitely where we disagree. Quentin Nelson, I love him. Jonathan Taylor should fit that offense really nice. Marlon Mack is a underrated running back. He really is. And the defense behind, other than Darius Leonard, is kind of a no-name defense that was playing really well. So I think they can contend. I think it's a team that they're going to be in almost every single game. I see them not winning as many as they should to make the playoffs or at least win that division.
Oh, man, I can't wait for football. That's about where I'm at right now. I really am excited to see the Colts. Do you want to place a bet on the Colts and Texans? That's a tough one for me because I like the Texans too, but we can place a bet on that.
Yeah, we can go a beer on that or something for sure. Right. I can go a beer on Tennessee winning that.
All right, we'll bet a bar tab on it. I like it. So let's put a wrap on the AFC in total. We'll go through our division winners and our 3 wild card spots. Just to recap, I've got Kansas City as the 1 seed winning in the West. I've got the Ravens as the 2 seed winning in the North. I got the Bills as the 3 seed winning in the East. And I got the Colts as a 4 seed winning the South. And then my 3 wild card teams are at number 5. I've got the Titans. At number 6, I've got the Broncos with Drew Lock and all that talent around him. And number 7, your Cleveland Browns. Yeah, going to the playoffs, baby.
We're really fucking close, actually. The AFC is a little boring. I promise you the NFC is going to be, I think, a lot more different between us because I think the AFC is kind of transparent. I have Kansas City 1, Baltimore 2, and Tennessee 3, and Buffalo 4. Like I said, I don't really love Buffalo really going that far in the playoffs. I have Pittsburgh as my number 1 wild card team, followed by Denver and Cleveland Browns. Can you believe that, Brad Russell?
I don't believe that you picked
Browns in the playoffs. What in the hell am I thinking? I think Baker, I don't think he can fuck this up. I don't think they're going to let him. I think they're going to keep him upright. They're going to get the ball out of his hands into all these playmakers and not try to take his little chubby ass, run into the left or right to try to throw on the run. If he can keep the ball like on their team instead of throwing it to the other guys, I think they're going to win a lot of games because this is a super talented team on paper.
Yeah, let's hope that paper turns into wins on the field. All right, that wraps up the AFC. Let's get into the NFC now. And Zach, you mentioned it. The NFC is crazy tough. Just so many good teams. We were talking before we started recording about like, hey, what's the crappiest team in the NFC? And we picked a few, like between Washington and the Lions. I think there's some question marks with some other teams, but those are
actually
kind of
like Washington. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Ryan Kerrigan, a stellar defensive front. It's the new.
They're still going to be last in their division, though.
I don't know. I actually don't have them last.
Oh, you don't? All right. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Let's not jump the cart too much. Let's dive right in. Let's go NFC West because I think this is, again, another super interesting division with the Niners, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the Rams. And I have them in that order. I've got 49ers first as they come off of a Super Bowl appearance last year. I got the Seahawks coming in second because Russell Wilson and Cheater Pete, they always find a way to get it done. Arizona actually bumping it up over the Rams this year. I'm excited to see what Kyler Murray in year 2 can do with Nuke Johnson and that pass-happy offense down there with old baller pad Cliff Kingsbury and his super, super swank digs that he lives in.
You have the Rams last.
Yeah.
You know who
I put the Cardinals above them.
You know who the Rams drafted, right? You know who the Rams drafted, right?
Cam motherfucking Akers?
Goddamn right. Cam Akers. No. But that's pretty bold. That's pretty bold, my friend. And this is the most entertaining division. I don't even think it's close. Like all these, I can't wait to watch these teams play each other. I think every game is going to be must-watch TV. I have Arizona as the last place team, but still winning 6-7 games, being in almost every single game and being an entertaining watch. You have to watch this team. I think they're a year away from maybe contending for a playoff spot. I want to see the progression of Kyler. I want to see him with DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk. If he can stay healthy, he's an insanely good slot receiver. Kenyon Drake. And my favorite player maybe in the 2020 draft was Isaiah Simmons. And he's going to be the X Factor stopper. Who are the X Factors in that division? George Kittle. He can guard George Kittle. Russell Wilson, he can QB spy Russell Wilson. In the Rams, Cooper Kupp in the slot. He can even guard that guy with his 4.39 speed at 6'4", 235 pounds. This guy's amazing. I can't wait to see him play. I don't think it's going to transfer into wins this season because your baller out coach, I don't know if he knows how to win games in the NFL yet. I think they're going to be exciting. He was exciting at Texas Tech. They didn't win a lot of fucking games. So I'm not going to put him above McVay and the Rams right now. And I actually have Seattle as the third place team because Russell Wilson is just, I mean, they really left it bare there for him. He has DK, he has Tyler Lockett, but that offensive line's in shambles. Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, they bring in Carlos Hyde. I don't love any of those guys. I don't think any of those guys are premier. In the defense, they lost Clowney. It's kind of Bobby Wagner, and there's no Legion of Boom. It's Legion of nothing, like snooze, because nobody's left there. Seriously. So I think Russell Wilson can win them a lot of games. They're going to be respectable, probably in every game, but I have them being like a 500 team. I have the Rams as the second place team, but not any 11-5, 12-4 record. I think they're going to go 9-7. And San Francisco is winning that division again, even though it's so tough. We just said it. This division is probably the toughest division in football, guys, but that team is stacked, and they got better. They drafted Kinlaw from South Carolina, my favorite defensive tackle. This guy's unblockable at the Senior Bowl. And then they got Brandon Ayuk. And the Deebo Samuel injury just broke today. He's supposed to be back possibly week 1, maybe week 4, around that area. He's probably in September. He's not going to be 100% one way or the other. I think they have enough weapons to make up for it. George Kittle's the best tight end on the planet right now. So San Francisco's winning that division. But it's gonna be tough, man. There's gonna be a ton of exciting games in this division.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it all get out there and get after it. Well, how did you fit? You went 49ers, Rams,
Seattle, Arizona.
Okay.
So we got 2 spots on the Rams that we're different on. Like I think they're second place and going 9-7. You see them finishing last. That's a big jump right there.
I know you love Cam motherfucker.
There's gonna be some say it happens like you say. There's gonna be some major pressure on McVay.
And that's crazy to think. Just a year ago, he was that darling. Now I think he's clearly the second best coach in that division. He's still my darling.
He's still my darling. Oh, my darling. No, they're gonna go back to running the ball, play action pass. Jared Goff is not. He's not an alpha quarterback. This guy, he needs weapons. He needs to be on time. He needs the running game to open up the pass game. If they're not a pass-first team, it's a running team first. That's why I love Cam Akers in Dynasty. That's why I love this man in redraft where he's going. They're going to run this man downhill, and he's the best running back of that group, and they want to run the ball. Jared Goff is amazing on a 3-step drop off a play action pass and hitting Cooper Kupp in the slot wide open. But when he's 3rd and 11 and he has to look to his third option, it's garbage.
Yeah. So we'll see how that one plays out. NFC North. And I know we're going to disagree on this one. I'll let you lead off how you have them ranked coming out because I've been stealing
NFC North is another stacked division. This NFC is really hard. And I'll start with the obvious. Detroit is the worst team in that division. Nothing against Matthew Stafford. We're talking about a player that he jumped on the scene for Detroit and really did some good things, but they don't have the talent around him. I believe that's a team that's going to be looking for a new coach next year. Where are they really going? I like Okuda a lot, but is he going to be a difference maker in wins? Probably not year 1. Stafford is going to have to pull a rabbit out of his hat to get this team to the playoffs. I don't see it happening. And going forward, that's Chicago, Minnesota, and Green Bay. I actually think those teams are very close in record at the end of the season. I think Green Bay, they won a lot of close games last year. I think they jumped back to average this season. I have them as the 3rd-ranked team in that division, which I know we're going to be different on that one because when we did our power poll about a month and a half ago, I know where you had Green Bay. So I have Green Bay 3rd in the division. So between Minnesota and Chicago, I have Chicago winning it because I love Khalil Mack. I love Eddie Jackson. I love Roquan Smith. I love the way they're going to play defense.
Do you love Nick Foles?
I think he's going to be.
You love Mitch Trubisky?
I think it's not Trubisky. Little bitch Mitch is gone. I mean, they brought in Nick Foles because Nick Foles is the guy that Nagy said he couldn't put in his entire offense for Mitchell Trubisky, but he can for Nick Foles. I think they have enough weapons to make Foles look okay. I think Cohen becomes a bigger weapon. David Montgomery and runs downhill. And Allen Robinson is a certified stud out there. Anthony Miller, I think, is going to have to have a big third-year season. I think they win that division at like 10-6, 11-5. I think them and Minnesota are neck and neck, and I have them just beating out Minnesota just by a little bit. And Minnesota probably goes 10-6 also, and they're definitely going to be a wild card team.
I got the Packers number 1. I got the Packers winning this division again. I think Aaron Rodgers comes in with a chip on his shoulder, say, "Oh, you motherfuckers don't want to draft nobody for me? That's fine. I'll go out and handle my business."
Can he throw it to himself?
Yeah, he's going to throw it. He's got some guys there. He's got a few guys. I think he'll be just fine. I'm anxious to see what A.J. Dillon brings to the table, too, and hopefully adds to that running game. But I'm going with the Packers, number 1 in the division. I got Minnesota, number 2. I got the Bears, 3, and of course, Lions are the bottom dwellers for me. I just can't buy the Bears yet. I don't know what Nick Foles is going to be. If anybody can get something out of him, I believe it would be Matt Nagy. I think he's got the offensive mind power to put together a game plan to go out there, and he's found success offensively. I think he was part of the coaching staff that had him in Philly there when he was first brought in under Andy Reid years ago.
Real quick with Chicago, talk about a team. I was talking about the windows in the AFC. Talk about a team. This is their window. Like, they bring in Khalil Mack. They traded all these picks away, and they draft Roquan. This is their window right now. I mean, it really is. They missed on Mitch Trubisky, and they knew they needed a better quarterback because it's their window. Matt Nagy's window is now. This team doesn't make the playoffs. I don't know what his future is. So their window's now, and I think he's going to get the best out of them. I'm not seeing a Super Bowl run or anything for them, but I think this is a playoff team.
How many did they get last year? Let me double check this. They got they were 8-8. Yeah, they were 8-8 last year.
I think they can. I think Nick Foles improves that team by at least 2 wins.
All right, we'll see if it happens. I still got them coming in third. I think the Packers win that division.
It's a tough division. Those 3 teams are really even.
Right, and the Lions. I mean, it depends on what, because I really love Galladay. I love what he brings to the table. I think they've got some fantasy guys that you're going to want to buy stock in. I just don't know if that's going to transition to reality and wins for the Lions this year.
Exactly right.
Another fun division. It always is, and it's almost always close. Almost always comes down to the last game of the year. You got Cowboys, Philly, Giants, and Washington in that NFC East. Who do you got coming out on top there, Zach?
I think it's a very top division with Dallas and Philadelphia. I think Washington and the Giants are straggling behind. It's a 2-man race. It's Philadelphia and Dallas. It's who do you prefer? Mike McCarthy comes down to Big D. They draft CeeDee Lamb when they had other needs, but he was the best player available. And now they have the best wide receiver core in the NFL, one of the best I can ever remember, honestly. I don't remember 3 studs like that in a long time. With Ezekiel Elliott, they did lose Frederick, which is a big hole to lose in their offensive line, but they still have a top 5 offensive line. That's how good it was. Now, can their linebackers stay healthy? Can their secondary improve? Can they get some more production out of DeMarcus Lawrence and their defensive line? I'm not so sure about that, but I'm going to inch them ahead of Philadelphia because I do love their offense and their run game, and I trust the weapons of Dak Prescott a lot more, and I trust the weapons of Carson Wentz. And we're talking about a guy that has trouble staying healthy, so I think it's more likely that Carson can get hurt. But on the other hand, I believe Dak Prescott's going to play on the franchise tag, but if he doesn't play, that's obviously a different story because I don't think the Red Rockets going to come in there and win a division. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. But it's a 2-man race, and I have Washington as the 3rd team, the Giants as the 4th team, but I'm talking like Washington 6-10, the Giants 5-11. There's not much difference in them, but I love – we talked about it earlier, Chase Young coming in there with Montez Sweat, Ryan Kerrigan, Jonathan Allen, De'Aaron Payne. That's just their front – that's just their defensive line. That team is going to get after the quarterback. It's just can they get the QB production out of Dwayne Haskins.
And they're going to be fun to watch as a young and up-and-coming team. But, again, I have them at the bottom of the division as well. I got the Cowboys winning the division over Philly and the Giants coming in third. Giants are going to be kind of fun to watch, too, see if Danny Dimes can do. in his second year.
Their offense is going to be really fun. It's just I don't love. I think they have one of the worst defenses in the league. I look up and down that defense. I don't see really a Pro Bowl type player at all.
Okay. Let's get into the South here because we're getting a little close on time. This is another one. This is really, really tough. But I think the Saints, they're gearing up for one last hurrah. This is Drew Brees. You talk about a window closing. It's open about this much for Drew Brees and the Saints to go out there. Yeah, this is it. This is probably his last run, I would have to imagine. At 40-plus years old, he's solidified a ton of records. I don't think he has a lot more to prove. And if he could go out on top, why not ride off into the sunset? Not sure if that's going to happen, but I think they are going to gear up for one last run with him. I've got them winning. And then, of course, you got the Bucs who bring in Tom Brady. I think they're going to be the biggest storyline. Every week you're going to be hearing about Tom Brady and the Bucs. I've got them coming in second. I got and it's tough here with the Falcons and the Panthers because I'm not sure, what Teddy B is going to bring to the Panthers. I don't know if the Falcons, they have a pretty rough start to the season schedule-wise, if I'm not mistaken. And if they come out there and
they got Seattle, at Dallas, Chicago, at Green Bay. That's Atlanta's first 4 games. I don't think it gets tougher than that. Dallas didn't make the playoffs last year. Neither did Chicago, but they're right on the fringe. That's a really tough start of the season for Atlanta with a team that with their head coach on the hot seat, and he's a defensive guy that on a team that can't play defense. It's a tough start.
It is. I've got him third because I don't know about Teddy B, and I'm going to ride with Matt Ryan. But man, that is a tough schedule, and I could easily see that coming off the tracks. I know it's June, and we're making some predictions here, but if that season starts off with that schedule and they can't eke out a win or two out of that, you could easily, like you said, see Dan Quinn go down the road, and this whole thing could go up in smoke real quick. But it's top heavy in my mind, kind of like the East was. Saints and Bucs for me are the 2 teams to watch in that division. I think both those teams come out of that division in playoff spots too.
Yeah, talk about 2 monsters going at each other. We're going to see Tom Brady, Drew Brees twice a year with loaded offenses. Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, the Gronk. He even came down the party a little bit, and it's going to be fun. Talk about 2 playoff quality teams in the same division. I think it's almost a guarantee if they both stay healthy at the quarterback and the key positions that both these teams make the playoffs. I got New Orleans at 12-4, Tampa Bay at 11-5, with Carolina, Atlanta eking around 6-10, 7-9 each. I'm calling Dan Quinn's head. He's probably going to be gone next season. Matt Rule at Carolina, they're building it up. I think Teddy B is going to be nice. I think they're going to look it's going to be kind of a fun team on offense. DJ Moore going into his 3rd season, but they lose Luke Kuechly. They don't have much on that side of the ball anymore. This team doesn't look anything like it did last year. Greg Olson's gone. Cam Newton's gone. Luke Kuechly's gone. Everybody's gone. They're pretty interesting on offense. I don't think they have enough defense to really compete week to week. That's why I have them in Atlanta and in the same boat around 6-10.
Right. And I think it's tough for Matt Rule or any first-year head coach, and that's the same goes for Stefanski. With everything that's going on, not be able to get the guys in there for OTAs and mini camps and all those times to actually get in there and, set the tone for who you are. And I know they're having these Zoom meetings kind of like what we're doing now, but how I think it's just a lot different between doing something over a computer. I don't think I'm breaking news here than actually going into a locker room, being around the guys and the players and building and fostering those relationships that turn into respect and want. It turns into want to play for this guy and wanting to go out and play for the guy next to you. And you can't get that over a fucking Zoom meeting. Yeah,
it's Zoom meeting where a player is probably going in the other room and hitting his vape pen or something. How much are they really paying attention? It's 2020 where everybody barely has any attention at all for anything, let alone on a Zoom meeting with their coach that they haven't met yet. Yeah. Wait, let me check my phone. No. It's going to be really tough for rookie quarterbacks and rookies in general and rookie head coaches. It's going to be really tough because this is brand new, and this time in May, and if training camp gets pushed back or something, this is going to be crazy.
All right, real quick, wrap on the NFC in total. First team, I've got the Saints in the number 1 seed. They'll get the bye. I got the 49ers at the 2 seed. I've got the Cowboys at the 3 seed, Packers 4 seed, Minnesota the 5 seed, Bucs 6, and Seattle 7 for my
Damn, you had Minnesota finishing above Tampa Bay. Tom Brady's going to have to go on the road, and I agree on that one. I have New Orleans. Actually, as my second seed, I have San Francisco, that talented roster, Bosa, and the run game and everything. I see them going 12-4, getting home field advantage. New Orleans at 2. I have Dallas at 3 also, with Chicago finishing 10-6 and being the 4 seed. And the 5th seed is going to be Tom Brady, and that means Tom Brady comes to Chicago in a playoff game. I'm sorry, Bears, you're not going to win a playoff game. I'm not going to give him that. Tom Brady's going to win that game. I promise you. I don't care if it's snowing in Chicago. That's even better for Tom Brady. I don't care if it's a bunch of Tampa boys.
Right.
I have Minnesota also in the 6th seed, and I have Philadelphia in the 7 hole. And there's 7 playoff teams now. Isn't that crazy in each conference?
It is weird. It's going to be weird to watch throughout the year. All right, before we wrap, though, we said we would give you our predictions on the AFC and NFC championship game, who goes to the Super Bowl, and ultimately who raises the Lombardi Trophy down in Raymond James Stadium in mid-February, as this will get pushed back to. Hopefully everything stays on course here. AFC championship game for me, it's going to be a humdinger. I got Kansas City taking on the Ravens. I know I'm really going out on a limb here, but that'll be a heck of a game to watch. Kansas City.
We got cheated out of that last year, Brad. Yes. We got cheated out of that game. I honestly believe whoever would have won
the Titans earned it. The Titans
earned it.
Their ass.
I love Vrabel. Don't get me wrong, but every NFL fan wanted Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson for a Super Bowl berth. We didn't get it last year. I think we get it this year because these teams are rock solid going forward and going to win in their divisions. I think we get it again unless somebody comes up there and nips Lamar again, or maybe.
So are we in agreement with AFC Championship game?
I mean, really, I got Baltimore playing at Kansas City, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you who I think is gonna win. Though I think Lamar gets them this time. I think the way they run the ball, they keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands. Lamar, if this man stays healthy again, he might not win the MVP. He probably isn't going to lead the league in touchdown passes again. I think he's going to become a better quarterback, though, in key situations, including the playoffs.
I got the same matchup, but I think this year's MVP ultimately wins. I got Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl again. Next year, they beat the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. In the NFC Championship game, I've got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Dallas Cowboys. What do you got for the NFC?
Oh, you got Dallas winning 2 playoff games and getting to the NFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. Holy shit, Mike McCarthy, they might build that man a statue outside Jerry World. Are you serious?
Jerry's melting the bronze right now.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that. I see Dallas getting nipped in the playoffs before that. And listen to this. And this is a game that was one of the best games of 2019. San Francisco, I see getting back to the NFC Championship game, but it's against New Orleans and Drew Brees and Sean Payton. They're going for it one more time. Michael Thomas, they brought in Emmanuel Sanders. They kept their offensive line intact. Cameron Jordan and Marshawn Lattimore, and the defense is going to do just enough to get them into the Super Bowl.
All right. I've got Dallas knocking off New Orleans in the NFC Championship game. Will that be 3 years straight that they lost in the NFC Championship game?
Last year they lost to Minnesota, I think, in the divisional round.
Oh, that's right. Oh, my goodness. But I think I got Dallas going to the Super Bowl against Kansas City, and winning it all will be the Kansas City Chiefs again. 2 years in a row. They go for the repeat.
I'm going to have to come over to your house and make sure Skip Bayless didn't put a Brad Russell hat on.
No, I'm not that Cowboys guy. I just think they've got
Dallas Cowboys. They're going from last season's, just debacle and going to the Super Bowl. I like them in the playoffs. That's bold, my friend.
I'm going out on a little bit of a limb here. Plus, I think Jerry knows. I love the CeeDee Lamb move. I don't think he's going to be as a big as impact of a rookie as he could have been had he landed in, like, let's say Philly or a place that was starving for a wide receiver. But I think him added to some of the other pieces, and I think if they're in contention, Jerry's not scared to pull the trigger on a midseason move. I could see him giving up a first-round draft pick next year to bring somebody in to help solidify the line if Frederick Spots isn't being held up, or just doing whatever they need to do to put him over the top, and they make a push, and they get to the Super Bowl this year, but they ultimately fall short to Kansas City and Pat Mahomes.
Could you imagine if they keep Dak Prescott on a franchise tag and he gets him to the Super Bowl, how much he's going to need to get paid next season? Yeah. Can you imagine what that ticket's going to be? It might be 50 million a year. If he gets
Right.
Dallas
He might get his
Cowboys
40 mil.
to the Super Bowl in 2020, they're gonna have to give that man a blank check. I don't think it's gonna happen, but my man Brad does. And I also think Baltimore is gonna get knocked off by New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton and Drew Brees. They're gonna do it, and he's gonna ride out into the sunset. This is a team that they have like 3 quarterbacks they can play. So even if Drew Brees gets hurt for another week or two, they have somebody that can jump in, Taysom Hill, or even Jameis Winston. I like the defense. I like the system. Talk about a window. I think they're going to take advantage of the window, and they're going to get through it, and they're going to get a Super Bowl. And who knows about Sean Payton, but we know Drew Brees is going to ride out into the sunset.
All right. I like it. I like it. Let's all remember, though, it's only June. And it's way too early to be making these picks, but we wanted to have some fun with you. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We're glad that you're following along on all the social media. Send us your questions, your thoughts. Send all that Browns hate my way. Send all that Steelers hate to Zach. Keep the fun stuff going here as we'll continue to talk football with you on Uncensored Football. We got to run. We're out. Super Bowl picks, predictions, it's all in the books. Zach, always a great time. Thanks for joining me.
See you guys.
Have a good one.
Yep.